Hello and welcome to What Does Your Purpose Mean to You? I'm Janie Lin, Pattern Interrupter, Master Energy Tuner, and Galactic Code Activator. I'm here to shift and uplift humanity and consciousness on the earth. So in this talk I will be doing on this video, I'll be going over what the Galactic Codes are, what does purpose mean to you, and why would you even want your purpose ignited? I'll also be talking about the top 3 things that stop us from stepping into our purpose and how you can change things by connecting to the earth and listening to your heart. I'll then wrap up by sharing how the Galactic Codes shift and change absolutely everything in your life and a little bit about what they've done for my clients. So I've created several courses over the years, Unraveling Your Hypnotic Entanglements, Divine Wealth Awakening, which actually went, it ended up being a global online radio show, and then it went from there into a podcast where I was working directly with Susan Schatzer in Unlocking Your Limitless Life. And then my newest now is Ignite Your Purpose, which is essentially a combination of both Unraveling the Hypnotic Entanglements and Divine Wealth Awakening. So a little bit of the history on the Galactic Codes. They were given to me by my star family, which stems from a very ancient strain of Arcturians. I've had many different lives as a multiple identity soul being. So I don't actually just come from a background of one race specifically. However, the Arcturians are my star family who is assisting in bringing forth the codes and igniting me on this journey to shift and change the archetype of humanity. So I have a lot of information to go over today, so I wrote it down. I took notes so I wouldn't forget. And I'm going to give you as much value as possible in the time we have here on the video. So I'm an ambassador that is here to bridge the gap between the Earth humans and star cultures. My star family is very high dimensional, 5th, 6th plus. They are highly evolved multidimensional beings who have transcended the physical universe. So, and all of us collectively are here to shift and raise the vibration of the earth. And just to give you a little insight on what's going on and why it's important for light workers to come forward now more than ever, and why it's important to know what your purpose is in these super crazy times. I'd like to give you a little bit of information that was channeled in by my star mother, Serapida. So she says, the Alliance is composed of military and certain government officials who know there is an Illuminati force that wants to destroy humanity. Like, this is real. Okay, these are the white hats. So the Alliance, the military and certain government officials, these are the white hats. And I actually had a little bit of a interesting sensation when I was looking into the white hats, because I was like, are they good? Are they bad? Quote unquote, good and bad, whatever. But they're actually here to help us. Whether they're good or bad, they're here to help humanity. Our government is actually no longer a republic. A two-party system is not a republic. We have been infiltrated by fascists. So the white hats will not succeed unless the light workers raise the vibration and back them up. So this is why it's important that light workers step forward now and step into their purpose. Because the vibration of the earth has to be raised, otherwise the Galactic Federation cannot come in and assist us. The earth cannot ascend in its present condition. So the light workers come in to raise the qualifying vibration of the earth so that it mirrors the intent of a Galactic Federation, which is love and light. And then the Galactic Federation has permission to come help us. If we do not raise the vibration of the earth, things will get even worse than they currently are at the moment. Simple as that. So the galactic codes are energy, vibration, and harmonics that activate what some call the God spark. This is your true essence. It's the spark that occurred that is who you are now. It's the very essence that you were created by, with, and from. It is the true essence of you that creates magic, that changes everything. This has been through you, with you through all lifetimes, and will continue with you as you forever. Right? This is universal law. Your spark, your true essence, it never dies. It never goes away. It can be ignored, snuffed, and shut down, but it cannot go away. So when you experience shutdown, 100% of the time it's related to issues with the heart and a disconnect with the earth. And a dear friend of mine who's actually also my coach said once that if you aren't creating with the earth, you aren't creating at all. If your heart is shut down and closed up, if it's under lock and key, you cannot connect to the earth, and this disconnect takes place. Okay, we were genetically designed, we were created to be in connection and in harmony, in resonance with the earth. So when we don't actively nurture that, we are disconnected. So by directing the codes, I'm reactivating your connections through your heart to the earth. And the very act of this changes your DNA and activates what we've come to call the junk DNA, or the broken DNA, the sleeping DNA. I will go into this more in detail at the end of the video. So let's look at, what does purpose mean to you? We hear about it a lot in coaching. We see it a lot on social media. We wonder about it a lot, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I? And these are some of the most important questions that you can change your entire life by asking. So your purpose is simply what you are here to do, to be, and to live as. And this can be really complicated if you allow it to be. It can also be really super simple if you choose. Usually your purpose is so super simple that you take it for granted. It could be bringing joy to those around you, being a light in the dark. It could be creating peace and calm in the world, eliminating chaos. It could be healing people just by being you. You know, laughter is one of the best medicines, and there's a medicineless hospital in China that actually they do phenomenal work, and it looks like miracles. And what it is focusing on joy. It is eliminating fear, points of views, beliefs, ideas. It's stepping out of the programs of the reality that we currently live in, that we so believe is real and true, and changing things. And it doesn't take long. It takes seconds and minutes. But we have been taught that it takes so long to change things that we're stuck in that program, right? So the codes help you shift and change that instantly. And, right, so all of these are great for living a fulfilling life. They're also really good tools to create a business with, if that's what you're looking to do. So one of the major things that I dive into before directing the codes is to create as much clarity as possible with my clients. This is not something that we go into half blind. And when you're clear about who you are and what you're here to do, then you have your purpose. And when you're confident in that, that ignites your passion, right? So the benefit of having your purpose ignited is so that you can move through life with clarity, purpose, and confidence. Whether you're looking to start a business, or you're a parent, a grandparent, a family member, or a business owner already. When you're super clear on what you're here to do and be, you are literally unstoppable. Nothing has power over you to stop you or stand in your way again, right? And the ease and speed and agility at which you can move through and around obstacles that occur is absolutely phenomenally magical. So let's take a look at some of the things that stop us from stepping into our purpose. So number one on the list is the fear of what others will think, right? Like, this is a huge one. So how many times have you stopped yourself because you're worried about what your family members will think? Or what will your friends think? They're going to start talking about you. Oh my gosh. And it might be bad. They might give you their opinion about what they think you should and shouldn't do. And they end up running your life. And more than likely, they're not even living theirs. Right? So these are basically busybodies with judgments, points of views, and limited realities. And I'd like you to ask, like, is that who you'd like to take advice from moving forward? Right? We love our family. We love our parents. We love our friends. And the thing is, they have their own purpose to live. You have your own purpose to live. So if you're allowing the importance of what others think about you, you're not going to be speaking your truth, and you're not going to be stepping into your purpose with confidence. So a little side note story. I went through a divorce, and even before I got divorced, I was doing coaching. I was online. I was on Facebook, Twitter. I was on all of them. And what I discovered is that my husband at the time was stalking me through social media. And so I blocked him. And that kind of upset him. So then all of a sudden, everybody in his group of friends, his family, everybody was stalking me on social media. What is she doing? What is she saying? Is she doing that stupid woo-woo stuff again? Like, it was consistent and ongoing, and it was at the harassment level. And it was destroying my business because I stopped speaking my truth. I was tired of the ridicule. I was tired of the wrongness. And that happens to a lot of us, especially when we step into something that is not heard of. If we have the ability to change things in a really rapid way, that's unheard of. If we have the ability to teach people how to take quantum leaps in their business and create phenomenal amounts of money, that's unheard of. So it must not be true. You must be lying, right? So there's all these things that go into fear of stopping ourselves because of what other people will think, say, or do. And ultimately, what is the worst that can happen? You will lose friends. And if you lose friends, they aren't in alignment with your purpose anyways. They aren't in support of you truly at a heart space level. They are there for some other reason. And sometimes it's because we like to hang on to people because it provided something for us in the past. And that doesn't mean it's healthy for us moving forward in the future. So I ended up taking huge steps, and I had to block a lot of my family members, a lot of my in-laws, like everybody got blocked on my circle of friends. And the ones who are real true friends did stick with me, and they knew exactly what was going on, and they understood. And I was able to make new friends, new relationships, new business ventures, and my business was able to grow. So in a little bit, we'll talk about this dark night of the soul stuff. But I wanted to share that story with you because if you're stopping yourselves from speaking your truth because you're afraid of something, you're not alone. You are not alone. Okay, and then reason number 2 is something that we don't think about very often, unless we are super aware. And it's fear of psychic attacks. Right, so we just talked about fear of other people. There's also sometimes an underlying fear of psychic attacks. And so how many of you have been seeing things and communicating with things your entire life and never acknowledged it? If you're a big yes on this, then listen up. Oh my gosh. So if this is you, you have a huge purpose to and mission to accomplish in this lifetime as a being, having a human experience. If you've been visited, it usually means that you are being watched. Yes, you're being watched. And sometimes this is by beings that have been hired minions working for the dark forces to stop you. So being able to decipher what is here for your highest good and what is not is super important, and is key in moving forward in a limitless way. So I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the dark forces type thing. I was visited consistently from, I would say the earliest I can actually remember is about 3. There was beings walking around my bedroom every night. I'm pretty sure I had sleep apnea. I was sleeping in bed with all my covers tucked in. And I was even, my mother went and bought me this little teensy fan, because I would cover my head up and all I had was this little peek hole, because I thought if I couldn't see them, they couldn't see me. They wouldn't know I was there if I held really still and I didn't move. And she was afraid I was going to suffocate, so she got me a fan so I could breathe at night. But it also, I grew up in a very religious home. So talking about things that I saw was not okay. It was, if my mother didn't understand it or see it herself, then it must be of the devil. It wasn't in the Bible, according to her. So, and then, you know, there's that, you're too sensitive, you're, have an overactive imagination. And interestingly enough, we didn't have a TV. I didn't own a TV until I was 20. So I did not grow up with a TV in our house. So these things that came in, these beings that visited me, they were different ones every time. So it wasn't the same one or ones up until a few years ago. And when you are visited this much, it is because you have a big purpose. And it's not all bad. Because I used to ask, like, why is everything that I see bad? I thought it was bad because Mom said it was bad. It was of the devil. You know, I didn't have a TV to imagine this stuff through beyond what, you know, I didn't even watch a movie until I was in 6th grade. I went to a friend's house and it was, it was Stand By Me, I believe is what it was called. A very interesting thing is my dad didn't know I was there watching that movie, and I went home and he was standing there in the living room looking at a picture my grandmother had painted, and he was whistling the song that was in that movie, like the main theme song. I about peed my pants. I thought I was going to get in trouble, but he was just whistling that song. So here's the thing. When you're in resistance to things and beings that you have deemed bad or negative, you will actually attract more of that into your reality. And when you step into your full power and potency and you put your foot down, not only will it stop, you will also be able to receive the awarenesses and messages that you are required to know. Right? So not all of these beings that showed up were bad, but I was afraid to ask questions. Okay, so here's the deal. You are the being with the body. You have the emotions, you have the capacity to love, nurture, and you can choose to flip between these emotions as rapidly as they come in. These beings do not have that capacity. They cannot do that. That's why humans are so fascinating for them, is because we get to taste, feel, touch. We have 360 senses. And a lot of them do not. So the act of standing up to them, putting your foot down and drawing a line in the sand, so to speak, gets you out of the phase of resistance and reaction. They thrive off of fear. They live to shut you down, as you may have experienced and been through, right? So not all of the reasons that we stop ourselves from, I can speak English. Not all of the reasons that we stop ourselves from speaking our truth has to do with physical people and humans in our reality. It has to do with energetics and other beings as well. So the cool thing is, with the universal law of free will, they are only able to psychically attack you if you choose to allow it. If you choose to allow it to continue. If you've been experiencing this and it's ongoing. Galactic interference with free will is an absolute no-no. It is breaking the universal law, which is bad in the universal galactic sense. So with these visions, with these beings that you might be seeing, if this is one of the things that is stopping you, sometimes we call these nightmares. I would like you to start asking questions around all of this. Like, are these actually psychic attacks? Are they just visions showing themselves so that you can finally begin to shift and change the vibrational energy that has been locked inside your body and your energy field for so long? Once you start asking questions, you will have the awareness right away. And that will help you on your journey to clarity. So one of the tools that I use for asking questions is what I call light and heavy. So a yes, when I'm asking energetic questions, and even with simple things like what would I like to eat, a yes is in alignment with your purpose. A yes is in alignment with your truth, physically and energetically. So when you ask a question and you feel expansive and bubbly and that you can breathe with a lot of ease and there's space, that's a yes. A no is heavy, it's dense, it's contractive, it shuts you down, it's hard to breathe, and it's very subtle, right? So the yes can be very subtle and the no's can be very subtle. So this is where you get to build a relationship with your body as a tool of awareness to help you on your journey with consciousness and clarity. So some of the questions to ask, are you here for my highest good? Very simple and straightforward. Am I being shown this for my highest and greatest good? Is this in alignment with my purpose? Is this why I'm being shown this, right? Ask your questions. And then here's something interesting. What contracts, oaths, vows, swearings, fealties, communities, promises, commitments, and blood oaths do I have in place to keep and hold these or this energy, these energies, these beings in my reality? Did I hire these beings to stop me? I was going through a period of where I was having constant downloads and I was doing meditations all the time. And my meditations were not your normal average ones. I would lay down and I would ask a question and it was like somebody turned a movie on. And in one of these, I was shown all of the lifetimes in like a split second where I was killed, maimed, and murdered, and it was horrible stuff. Because of the gift that I had and the things that I created with it. So in that sense, I did hire a lot of beings to stop me from ever doing that again, from ever speaking my truth again, from ever being able to step fully 100% with confidence into my power and purpose and to remember who I was and who I am. And so it has taken quite a few years to undo that, because I layered so much in there. I was going to make sure that I never got my physical human experience on this earth never ended like that again. Right? So there are things we do to protect ourselves, and it's okay. You're not alone. And you can undo that without being harmed. It's a perception of fear and the ability to not let it control you, or the ability to allow it and the choice to run your life. So, once you can step out of fear, everything changes. The good news is the negative beings, ETs if you want to call them that, cannot move past the fourth dimension. This is why it is important to raise your own vibration and step out of fear of anything and move into empowering yourself with confidence in your purpose. So reason number 3 for not stepping into your purpose is fear of success. I thought this was hooly-gooly and hokey, but it's actually a real fear. So what if you actually accomplish what you are here to do? How will that impact the world? And what will happen if you do nothing? Right? So if you do nothing, your body will physically begin to shut down, simply because you are in resistance, and you will experience depression, anxiety, sleep apnea, heart attacks, cancer, the list goes on. All of these are derived from being misaligned with your purpose and your truth. A couple years ago, I experienced losing everything because I had literally frozen in fear when it came to standing up for myself with this person that I was married to for half my life. I had put all of my safety and security and my trust, what I thought was trust, in this person. And my trust was continually broken. This person would make promises to me and then deny it. And I literally had to work with a psychiatrist, because when you're in that space of this murky, mucky swamp junk, it was the beginning of my dark night of my soul. I would believe the things that he said, even though I knew in my heart they weren't true. And you know, I got to the space where I wanted to find a cave and never come out. I actually contemplated ending my human experience on this in this lifetime. It was that bad. And I'm not, in my true essence, I'm not a depressed person. I'm not, that wasn't who I am. I am happy, bubbly. In fact, I used to get in trouble when I was a little girl for getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday because the rooster crowed and the sun's up and it's a new day. And nobody should be that happy and bubbly first thing in the morning before everybody has coffee. Right? So I was going into a space that was uncharted territory and I had not experienced before. And I ended up, I lost everything. I lost my home, my car, my pets, my children, everything. So here was kind of a cool thing that I didn't realize until later. So have you heard of the saying that you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with the most? I had surrounded myself without realizing it. This was an unconscious thing that I believe was divine guidance. So I'd surrounded myself with coaches, healers. I had a beautiful, loving relationship with my partner, who I am still with today. I ended up creating a in-home pet sitting business. I was surrounded by the most amazing, beautiful animals. I had people literally going out of their way on a daily basis to pick me up and get me going. And I didn't even realize this until a year later. So when you're in the midst of this swamp of your world crashing down around you, fighting for your life, to find a way out, you cannot do it alone. The choices you make here are all you. Like, you get to make the choices. You are choosing step by step. But your cheerleaders, those who you surround yourself with, are there to nurture you along the way. So really take a look at who you surround yourself with the most. Are they a contribution to supporting you with your truth, with your purpose? Even if it's doing something really out there, like Galactic Codes are coming in, this is what you're doing. Consciousness says this is what you're here to do. You have to step into that with confidence and strength. So are the people in your area willing to support you 100% no matter what, even if it's something that sounds really ridiculous that nobody has ever heard of before? If they're not and they go away, be assured that Source will bring you those who do support you. Right, so this is the dark night of the soul. This is a crappy part of the phoenix rising from the ashes, so to speak. And sometimes we have to experience things so that we come out on the other side much stronger, with more understanding and with clarity. So the dark night of the soul, it happens so that you can address things that require shifting so that you can move forward. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. But if you're not willing to address things that need to be let go, you're not in alignment with your purpose, and it will take you that much longer to get to where you want to go. Right, and so sometimes we hold on to things and people so tightly because we think they offer or contribute something to us that we can't attain on our own. This is sometimes referred to as codependency. So the bottom line is it's just fear, and fear cannot affect you unless you allow it to. When you give it power, it will run your life right into the ground. So I was taking an extensive amount of classes a few years ago, and the facilitator of the class, somebody was talking about, you know, entities and the boogeyman and this and that, and how scary they were and how real they seemed and things like this. And I will never forget this, and it changed my entire view of the boogeyman. And so the facilitator was standing up there at the top of the class, and he's like, so this is what you do. This is how you get rid of the boogeyman. It completely shifts and changes the vibration. You took their power away. You stepped back into yours. You eliminated your fear of them. They have no effect on you. You have rendered them powerless. So I invite you to play with that one, and maybe even teach it to your kids if you have kids. So, how can you change the things that are stopping you from stepping into your purpose when things seem so real? Stop and do something different. It's very simple. Just stop. Like, when you're aware that you are not in alignment with your purpose and you're acting out of fear, you're letting things control it, you know. Like, once you're aware of paying attention to what you're doing, you can't unknow it, right? So you're aware of what you're doing. So you can stop and do something different. So with my clients, these fears and darknesses are something that we actually dive deep into. I am one of the few coaches that is willing to go where nobody wants to go. Because I've been there. I know what it feels like to be there, but I also know what it feels like when you get to the other side. And that to me is more important than all of the junk that keeps you stuck in darkness, right? So the reason that we hang on to things is because it served, or it serves a purpose from the past. letting go of things that no longer serve you can be super easy, like we talked about before. The old days and ways of things take weeks and months and sometimes even years to completely change something. They're gone. The key is opening your heart and connecting with the earth and receiving. Right? We were taught to give and give and give. We were not really taught to receive. So one of my favorite exercises I do with my clients is connecting with the earth. This opens your heart and activates your connection with the earth and also your pineal gland. It helps to decalcify that. The combination here opens your psychic abilities, your channel to source, and the ability to receive clearly the messages that are being given to you. So I know how frustrating it is to be given downloads and information for a period of time that were super clear, and then to go through a space of where you ask a question and nothing comes in. Like nothing. And then when you do get information coming in, it's foggy and mutated. So I went through that too. So it's really important to have your connection with the earth. And when I went through that, I was completely disconnected from the earth and I had my heart shut down. So science says our heart is the first organ in our body that is formed when we are in the womb. Our hearts develop before our brain does. And then they went on to discover that your heart actually has a neural network that is exactly like the brain. So science is now saying that our heart is actually the brain of our body. Right? You feel from your heart, we think from our heart, we ask often, like, what does your heart say? And then we call this intuition. So I'd like to share a story about one of my clients that I did a Galactic Code session on. So we went through step one, was getting super clear on what she was asking for, what she wanted to change. And then I went to do, so this has a two-part thing, the activations. So I have a in-person and I talk to you and we get super clear on what you want. Sometimes this takes more than one session. We clear a bunch of things that are limiting beliefs, points of views, and things like that. And then when we've completed that step one, step two is for me to actually do the energy work and to call in the codes. And this is done, I have my clients message me when they're climbing into bed, I'm checking out for the day, I'm done. And then that's when I go to work. And so they're sleeping, they're checked out, their beliefs and points of views and whatever they had left are not floating around in the air, because that pretty much goes away when you go to sleep. So this is what happened. She messaged me, she said, I'm going to bed. And so I went to do the energy work with the Galactic Codes, and right there was Archangel Michael. I was like, that's interesting. And then I looked around and there was Archangel Gabriel and Seraphim. And I was like, well, now that's really interesting. So they said, now is not the time for Galactic Codes. We have work to do first. I was like, okay. This was new. I had done coding before and this had never happened. So I was invited to observe. So I did. And they were literally doing, I mean, it looked like open heart surgery. And they had her heart and they were unwinding all this barbed wire and wire from around her heart. And I watched them for what seemed like quite a while, and then I fell asleep. And so I thought, well, that was very interesting. But I know Archangel Michael is very powerful, and who he works with is very capable. And I was honored that he had stepped in to help with this. And that's when I realized that working with the heart first before the codes get to come in is so super important. It helps with your clarity. It helps you get in alignment with your truth. And so then the next night I went in to do the codes and to check in, see how things were going. And he said, now is the time. And he stayed there with me for the entire time. It was the most phenomenal experience. And so what happened with my client is things changed in her outer world because her inner world had been so massively changed. Her husband was showing up differently. She hadn't done anything except have this energy work done. Her husband was being kind and caring. He was doing dishes. He was helping out. He spent less time playing video games and more time with the family. The connection between her and her son had changed as well. It was like there was a coherence and a resonance in the family home that hadn't been there in years. And it also gave her more clarity with her business, with what she wanted to create as a healer, and step out of corporate. So when I say that the codes change everything, they literally change all aspects of your life. Not just one with relationships or this or that. Everything changes because, if you remember, I said the codes activate the true essence of you, the spark of who you are, this spark that hides in your quote-unquote junk DNA. You know, the parts that we've been told don't work so well or at all. They actually do work. They work very well. They are just shut off temporarily, and they've been shut off on purpose. We actually do have 360 senses, not just 5 or 7 or whatever they say. Everybody was born intuitive, clairvoyant, empathic. Everybody has the ability to see, hear, know, be, perceive, and receive anything and everything at all times. So the parts of our DNA were made dormant so that we would be easier to control as a species. However, we are genetically predisposed for enlightenment. This is our design. This is our birthright. So when I say the codes activate your true essence, your spark, they actually do. It's like Sleeping Beauty getting woke up from Prince Charming from her long nap with a kiss, right? When your spark is activated, and so, by the way, we were given this spark, this essence of who we truly are, and in the very beginning, by a benevolent ET star group. So when it's activated, we can no longer be manipulated. Our gifts come in, our psychic abilities come in. We can tell when people are screwing us. Other people can't do distraction with us, right? These are all the things that we've been battling against. And the cool thing is as it's activated, your gifts, talents, and abilities come in with clarity, speed, and ease. Your psychic abilities turn on. And that is one of the things that I actually have clients that come to me and say, I want my abilities turned back on because something in their life happened, trauma, fear, whatever, and they got shut down. And once you've had those, it feels really weird to not have that. I don't know if you've experienced that or not. I have. It's a really weird, unfamiliar space to be in. It's like, you know, being a fairy and having a magic wand and it works, and all of a sudden your wand is not magic anymore. You're like, what do I do now? I have to function differently. So ultimately, the Galactic Codes unlock tremendous potential in the individuals that I work with. For example, massive income, increase in income, better relationships. I've had clients find the love of their life. I've had clients create a business in one day and have consistent high-paying clients within a week. The ability to trust their intuition impeccably, and the list goes on. And this is all due to opening your heart, connecting with the earth, and igniting your purpose. The Galactic Codes amplify everything, shift and change, so that you can stay in alignment instead of wobbling in and out. So, this is all the time we have for today on this video. I hope this was useful to you now and in the future. You can find all the links to connect with me below this video. Be sure to book your free 15 minutes with me. That is in the giveaway section. And thank you so much for listening. I look forward to meeting you in person. Have a blessed day and namaste.